Hello and welcome to another video from us here at GT Sports. So it's Monday, which only means one thing, and that is new daily races. 3 races get put on every week, and we like to do, or at least try and do, one of them. So there they are. There's the one make at Autopolis, not my favourite track, I will be completely honest. The GR4 at Nurburgring, very good track, good choice of cars. That's probably one we're going to look at. And then we've got Suzuka, which again, great choice of car. GR3 is my favourite, but Suzuka not. So we're going to go with Nurburgring. It's the GP circuit, so it's the shorter circuit. It's 4 laps, as you can see. No issue with tyres or fuel. But what car are we going to choose? There's a choice of any of the GR4s that I've got. I think we're going to do something different. We're going to go in the Audi TT. Now, I have no idea how this is going to go. No idea what the best choice of car is for this track. I didn't look, as you saw. Just going straight in with a choice. So let's see where we are. We did do qualifying, but there's no point in showing it. And as you can see, we're all the way down in 10th with a miserable 2 minutes 6.7. Yeah, the qualifying, I only got a couple of laps in, I'll be honest. But yeah, it didn't necessarily go to plan. Lot to learn with this car. But anyway, here we go. Race number 1, Nurburgring GP, starting in 10th with a rolling start, which I hate. Rolling starts really are horrible, especially if you're starting all the way back down here, because you end up so far behind the leader straight away. But that's not up to us to decide, that's the game. So let's get going as we start lap number 1. So the car, I just completely forgot the word for what I was in. So the car chose the Audi TT, not used it well as we get punted straight away into turn 1. Very familiar circumstances, and anyone who has driven this track knows how easy that is. And the guy who did the punting there getting a nice 3-second penalty for his trouble. Luckily, we didn't go off track. We managed to just about save it, but we did get relegated to 11th place. Should get that position back fairly quickly though, as the guy in 10th, who strangely swerves quite aggressively in front of us, as he serves his penalty just around these corners. So I'm not going to go for a savage lunge. There's no point. I may as well just let this play out and take the position when the penalty is served, as he goes wide again, looking very aggressive, and as we've seen from corner number 1, very aggressive indeed. So now we're up into 9th place as we got a better run down that bit of stretch down there then to turn number 7. And now as we come around the hairpin at turn 7 up to turns 8 and 9, these are Schumacher S. This is what these corners are, and they're a fantastic part of the track. You can really go flat out if you get the corner in absolutely bang on, and it just feels so rewarding to do so. Turns 10 and 11 can be very tricky, but we're going to take our time a little bit. Lap 1, so we've got enough of a race to go. Looking ahead, so we've just taken up a penalty for track limits, I'm assuming. So again, just taking our time. We don't want to get penalty like that. We've got a few laps to go, so let's just settle in and see if we can at least catch up the pack ahead. Now coming down to turns 13 and 14, you can really cut the corner at this chicane, but you've still got to be careful. You can easily pick up a penalty there, but you can cut it, and if you get the cut just right, it's a lot quicker. Coming around very close to the wall, as you saw, and onto the home straight, as a little bit of tussling going on between drivers in 7 and 8, and that's going to give us room to move up into 8th place. So now from 10th to 8th in the first lap. So we're doing something right. Looking for the move down into the corner there. Was that a bit savage? I don't think so. I think the corner was open enough when I turned the nose in of the car, so I didn't feel like I did anything wrong there. It was just a gap that I went for. So up into 7th now, as we're on lap 2, coming through the very tricky first part of the track. Very slidey, that it's very slippy even, should I say, not slidey. That's what you do, you slide and you slip. Going purple. Okay, so I've said this plenty of times in previous videos, you're going to go purple on the second lap, you just are. Seeing now as we're coming around turn 6 there, down towards turn 7, the hairpin, guy ahead just serving his penalties, just goes in there. Hopefully that's going to help us, because he did slow down to serve the penalty, and I'm hoping to capitalise and get a run up behind him and use his slipstream. The GTR, they're going a little bit wide, falling back off the pace, which means we can't utilise the slipstream as much as we would like, as we're going to come across the Schumacher S's here. Not doing particularly well, but I didn't want to hit the GTR ahead and send him off. I didn't want to get a penalty. And for anyone who is familiar with the page and all of us here at GT Sports Mates, we try our best to race as cleanly as we can. GTR well off the pace there, going off track and finding himself stuck in the gravel. Up 6th we go. Down the long straight-ish, there's a little bit of a kink there. And it actually does class as a turn, so that would have been turn 12, up to turn 13 and 14. Again, cutting these corners very well, not hitting the penalty zone, which is literally a couple of pixels more over than I was. And someone in front getting a second penalty for, that's right, the track limits. Very easy to do. Like I said, turn 13, 14, that last chicane, very easy to pick up a penalty. So hoping now that we can capitalise on the penalty ahead, as we are now on the penultimate lap number 3. Looking again to make a move down here, and as we get the move done, we're just going to get tapped and just about hold on to it there. Yeah, did he see me? I think maybe not. I don't think that was intentional. He already has a penalty, so he wouldn't want any more. So I don't think that was intentional. But it's going to put us in a bit of a place as now the guy in 7th. We're in a Peugeot sandwich right now is what we're in. That is exactly what we're in. We're in a Peugeot sandwich. A little bit busy and a bit of a clumsy driving, but we're all through the first sector in pretty decent form. Coming around to turn 6 again now. Very tricky corner this actually. You've got to be very, very patient on the throttle. It's very easy to run wide and very easy to spin as well actually though. Now, can we capitalise on the penalty as he gets served? Yes, we can. We're going to go up into 5th, right behind the Peugeot in 4th. We're going to see if we're not going to try and push him. Not that type of track, bump drafting is not really going to work here, but we are going to try and, if anything, put him off a little bit. We're not going to hit him, we're just going to make him very aware of where we are and make him drive our game. We don't want him to drive his game, we want him to drive our game and make him take the wrong lines, which hopefully we can capitalise on as we see ourselves going around turn 10 to turn 11 now to start the long shot, as we're going to get pushed wide there. Out of nowhere, savage lunge there from the guy who was in 6th, now not, but that has now dropped us back down to 7th place. It was going so well, and again, some people they don't care, they just want to win by any means necessary, and he went for a savage lunge there, which then sent us off into the gravel, and we were quite lucky to get back on track without spinning, because it could have been a lot worse. But like I said, down into 7th now, as we're going to come round the final corner to start the final lap. So can we catch up and can we gain any more positions on the final lap? Let's find out now as we're coming down towards turn 1. Very tricky corner. But luckily we're going to do a decent job, I hope, as we come round. There's no one around us to hit us, and let's see now if we can do a decent job around these parts, around this first sector, should I say, just to see if we can at least catch up the guys ahead. They're not far ahead, but I think, as we've seen, there's a bit of pushing and shoving going on, so we've still got to be careful. We don't want to get ahead of them only to be pushed off again. We're going to have to play this smart. We're going to have to catch up and then look for an opportunity to overtake where it's going to be the best place. That's if we can catch up. As we come around now, turns 6 again, very slidey part of the track there. You're going to take your time. Dropping down now to the hairpin, turn number 7. Now this hairpin at the bottom is a fantastic piece of the track. I love this hairpin. You've got to be patient. You've got to be patient. I can't emphasise that enough. It's very easy to run off into the gravel there, but when you get that corner right, it just feels so good. And then these here again, Schumacher S, running a little bit wide there. Myself not doing a brilliant job, but again, brilliant part of the track. Turns 10 and 11 coming up now. So there's turns 10, and it looks like we're making a bit of progress towards the guy in 6th place. Can we get behind him down this straight and then take that position through either the last chicane, which is very difficult to overtake, I wouldn't really recommend it, but it can be done, or around the last corner, turn number 15 is basically a hairpin. So we're going to see now how we get on. We're going to have to back off a little bit. Don't want to run and get a penalty and fall back any further. But are we going to be able to get anything around this last corner? I don't think we are. I think they've just about held us off there. But you know what? We got knocked off the track, and I think we've done well just to catch up. So there we go, guys and girls. Race number 1. That's P7 for us. Not brilliant, obviously, not brilliant. But we did raise position. We were in 10th, wasn't we? Yes, we were. We were in 10th. We've gone 7th. Race 3 and a clean race bonus for us because we didn't do anything, which is always a nice thing to get. But can we do better? Well, let's find out as we're going to go straight into race number 2. I'm taking the same qualifying time into this race, just so you know. I didn't do another qualifying run. I'm going in the same time, 206.7. But as you can see, I'm up into 5th now. I started in 10th and I'm now up into 5th for the second race. So already, that's an improvement. I've gone up 5 places without even starting the race. So that's a great start to any race. Well, let's see if we can capitalise this time round as we take another stab at the daily race here at the Nurburgring. Nurburgring GP, should I say, not Nurburgring. I'd still be on the first lap, I think, in this car, if it was the full track. But here we go. Off we go now, and as you can see, the Audi straight away catching up to the Lancer in 4th from the German. I think the issue with the Lancer, as good as that car is in the corner, it suffers a lot in the straights. I'm looking to make a move now down into the first corner as we just about get that move done. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Please let me know what you think. There was the gap. I went for it, and to be fair, me and the guy in 4th, who is Righteous 5, okay, we got around that corner absolutely fine. There wasn't really anything that went wrong. Jumping ahead to the end of lap 1 now, and this is where things go a little bit wrong for me, as I have quite a disagreement with the pit entry wall and lose a position there, and the guy, the fellow Brit, Righteous 5 of his name, takes his position back in 3rd. Jumping ahead now again to the end of lap number 2, we're right on the tail of the guy in 3rd, who is right on the tail of the guy in 2nd in the Jag. Let's hope we can get around turn 15 without hitting the wall. That's always a plus. Already doing better, taking a wide angle there as you saw. But the Audi in front getting a better run, so we're going to tuck in behind him and see if we can make anything happen down this straight into the first corner. Now I am catching, as you can see in the slipstream. Can we outbrake the Jag and the other Audi? Yes, we can. Going deep though through this corner. Are we going to be able to get that to stick? Just about, as we go up from 4th to 2nd in one corner. It's always nice to do that. Getting a little bit of a push there from the Brit in 3rd. Nothing too bad, but then getting a bit more of a shunt from behind from the Jag. But luckily I managed to hold on to that, and we're going to go around and take 3rd place. So a bit of pushing and shoving going again, but still so far we're in podium. We're on the podium at the minute. Jumping ahead now to the final lap, down to turn 7 Heaven. Now I want to show you this. As we go around, whilst I was doing this race, because this obviously we're looking back at recording now, but whilst I was doing this race, I felt like I pushed him wide there. So I slowed down as you saw, and I gave the position back. Looking back at it, I don't know if I actually did push him wide. Maybe that would have been perfectly acceptable. I didn't get an SR down or anything. There's no penalty, so maybe it was just me being a bit cautious and giving the position back wasn't necessarily. But I try, like I said, to drive as cleanly as I can, and that's why I gave that position back. And to be fair, I'm not exactly falling too far behind now. It is on the last lap, so can we do anything coming up into the last chicane? Now, he's going to go defensive here. I'm going to try and get a cutback through here. Let's see, I'm going to turn in early and try and go around the inside, and look at that, he just parked that Audi perfectly on the exit there and blocked me from getting through. Absolutely fantastic piece of driving, I have to admit, from the guy in 2nd. Fantastic piece of driving. I'm not going to get him here, the straight's not long enough, as he gives us a little bit of a wiggle as he goes across. Deserved a 2nd place there, very well done. And you know what, I think the way he defended throughout the entire race, I know we've kind of skipped over it, but he defended very, very well. So we got 1 podium so far, going up from 5th to 3rd. We are now on the podium. can we do any better? Well, I always try and get the first, you know that, and we always try and go 3 times. And I did do a better qualifying time. As you can see, we're on pole, going straight into the race here. And let's see if we can maintain P1 over the next 4 laps. Rolling starts, I just hate them. They're just so slow. But there we go, we're on now. As you see, the front of the car is just lifting. Now, the guy behind in the Ferrari was very quick in qualifying as well. So I've had to go defensive straight away. The Ferrari's very quick. But as I pull across, you'll see here, I just completely outbraked myself a little bit too much. There was no brake, no heat, in the tyres, no heat in the brakes yet. And I didn't really counter it with where I would brake a little bit sooner. I was a bit too worried about the savage lunge, and in so doing, I almost completely messed up the first corner. But we've just about managed to get through, still ahead, but that Ferrari is going to very quickly hunt us down. So we've really got to drive sensible and really got to pull away and hope that the Ferrari behind us ends up in some kind of battle with the guy behind him, because that will help us. Coming down now towards the hairpin turn number 7. This first lap jitters can happen here at turn number 7. Like I said, you've got to be so careful and you've got to just take your time around. It's very easy to run wide. So luckily, no jitters. I think the jitters went when we almost messed up the very first corner, to be honest. As soon as I realised we was in okay after that, I was in an okay position, the nerves calmed down a little bit. And that's helped us here on the first lap. You do want to set good pace for the first lap, because you want everybody to basically either spread out, but also you want to set a good pace because you want to get away. And so far, as you can see, doing just that, we are getting a little bit more of a gap between us and the Ferrari in second. Now, for this final race, as you can see, we're going to be doing a few different camera angles, simply because it's a bit more immersive. When you're in the lead in a race, just to have the chase cam on constantly, you don't really see what's going on. It can be a little bit boring for the viewers, so I've tried to do it with a few different camera angles. As you can see, we're on the chase cam, just to make it a little bit more immersive. Okay, looking back very briefly, we saw the gap opening up, and now with the heat in the brakes and the heat in the tyres, look how much neater and tidier turn number 1 actually is. You can make it so much better. You just got to be patient. You've got to get the heat in the tyres. Otherwise, you're just going to run so wide, as I am a little bit. They're actually running a little bit too wide. Luckily, not going off track, because that little section there will just pull you off the track. But cutting the corner there, will we get a penalty? Yes, we will. Not what we want at all here, because we are in the lead, but not by much. And now I know coming around this corner, I have to serve a penalty. Luckily, half a second penalty isn't a lot, so I'm hoping to still remain in the lead down towards the hairpin and turn number 7. So serving the penalty there, as you can see, not slowing down too much, but it is going to give the Ferrari behind us a little bit more of an advantage. And all he has to do now is drive very clean, and he will catch up. So now all I've got in my head is I need to start pulling away again, going through Michael Schumacher-esque, or Schumacher-esque, whatever you want to call it, doing a decent job. How far back is that Ferrari? Well, all I can tell you is when I was racing, I was looking back a lot. I was quite nervous about where that Ferrari was. It's a very, very quick car in a straight line, and I didn't want to. Basically, I didn't want to forget about him. I needed to know where he was at all times. If he was catching up, I needed to know. I need to drive defensive, change my lines, whatever. Luckily, as you can see, the gap is still doing us a big favour there. We've managed to pull away a little bit more again, and that is going to make us a little bit more comfortable as we come around turn number 15, and again avoiding that pit wall. We really don't want to do that again, what we did in the first race at the end of lap number 1, hit that wall. Don't want to be doing that again. The Ferrari there, as you can see, pulling away from was it the GTR in the third? I think it was the GTR. The Ferrari pulling away there, which is, what's the word, worrying, I suppose you could say, because then you're thinking, well, if he's pulling away, how fast is he? Well, luckily for us, we seem to be a little bit faster at the minute as we keep pulling away throughout the rest of the race. But it only takes one penalty, and I've already had one. We're going to give this corner a wide berth. Don't want to pick up another one. But it only takes one penalty to change a race. And looking back, I pulled away a little bit more again, as the Ferrari does struggle a little bit through some of the corners. Very good car, very fast, very capable, but not the best in the corners. Luckily, I think the Audi might just about outturn it, especially in the first sector of this track. Very, very tight and fast sector indeed. Round hairpin at the bottom of the track, turn number 7, random cone in the middle of the road. Not sure, and random cone in the gravel. Why? Don't know why. But going purple on lap 3, coming through Schumacher S. Now, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again, you'll definitely go purple lap 2. Now we're going purple in lap 3, and look at the gap we have pulled away from the guy in second. Going purple means we are now setting better times. We're going faster, and let's see how fast we can get around lap number 3. Can we get the fastest lap? That's always something good to aim for. As going through that last sector, we were still up on our time. Going into the what I like to call the TV camera, how far back is that Ferrari? As you can see, just about appearing in the background now, as we're going to cut these corners nicely, not getting a penalty. And again, we're going to come around hopefully and miss the pit entry wall. Don't want to hit that. Can we go purple as we go over the line on the penultimate lap to start the final lap here at Nürburgring GP? There we go, 2:05.2. That was the fastest time at the present, but that could change. After all, I'm the front runner at this race. There's nobody for me to get a slipstream off. So anybody behind me who's in a slipstream could easily go faster than that time. So let's see if we can hold off, or at least set a quicker lap time on the final lap. Looking back there, you can see just where the Ferrari was, and we've really pulled apart now from the rest of them. I think at this point we was up to about 3.5 seconds between first and second, which is a nice gap to have. Not going purple, we're doing a little bit slower now. We don't want to make any mistakes because I'm very much aware we're on the last lap, but we are still pulling away. Even though we're not going as fast as the previous lap, we're still pulling away. And now I think, if I remember rightly, we was up to about 4 seconds between first and second, which is a nice healthy gap, especially if you're going to have any kind of accident, which we're hoping we're not. We're hoping we're not going to have an accident. We're hoping we're not going to have a spin out or a crash or anything like that. We don't want a penalty. Let's see if we can just bring this home for a victory here at GP at the Nürburgring. Okay, so we are now coming up to turns 10 and 11. A corner for me on this track, which I do kind of struggle with. This corner, turn number 10. It's so easy to run wide and go off and get a penalty, and then you'll go wide here because of it. Luckily we've not. We slowed down a bit. As you can see, we're 9/10 down. We're not going to set another fast lap here unless something amazing happens. But here we go, chase cam for the remainder of this race, coming down to the last chicane, turns 10 and 11, braking hard. Going to cut the corner, but we're going to be a little bit less aggressive there. We're going to cut it, but not too much. Like I said, don't want to get a stupid penalty. We're ahead enough to slow down. And then again, we're going to come around here dicing with the corner there, as you saw. But again, yeah, we're far enough ahead now. I think we're going to get this. Well, we are going to get this. There you go. Going across the line, P1. Our fastest time was a 2:05. I think the fastest time was a 2:05.1, so we didn't get fastest lap, but we just about missed out on that. But there we go anyway, guys and girls. A victory here at Nürburgring GP, clean race, pole position, and another trophy for our imaginary cabinet. So we hope you enjoy watching it this week. Please stay tuned. Please give us a like and a comment if you've been watching. And from all of us here at GT Sports Mates, we'll see you all next time.